I hope you enjoyed this series of videos. It was quite a long project. It took me about 7 weeks of working weekends and occasionally on a weekday evening to complete the guitar, and I've estimated that's a total of about 80 hours work. The total cost for this project was around £100, and that's for parts which were all purchased on eBay. You can see a list of items purchased at the side of the screen now. All of the wood was sourced at no cost whatsoever. It was all either salvaged or donated. Aside from the Sapele fretboard, this guitar is made of oak, which is not typically used to make electric guitars from what I've read. That is mainly due to how difficult it is to work because it's so hard, and also the weight. And I can kind of understand that. This guitar is quite heavy. It weighs 5 kilograms, which is £11. My other guitar, a Fender Telecaster, weighs just over 4 kilograms, which is just over £9. So it's not a huge difference, and to me the guitar doesn't feel too heavy. There's also a lot of debate about tone woods on the internet, which I find quite interesting. Some people think that exotic woods have much better tonal quality, and others think that that is a total myth. And I think that debate partially inspired me to try using oak. Personally, I can understand that the type of wood used in an acoustic instrument would affect the tone, but in my experience I don't think it makes a huge difference on an electric guitar, where I believe the tone is predominantly affected by the type of pickups used and also the player of the instrument. I think playing style has a lot to do with tone. I've heard guitarists with great tone making cheap instruments sound incredible, and not so good guitarists using expensive instruments that had awful tone. So oak electric guitars are not common, but one good example is Brian May's handmade Red Special, which was made predominantly from an old oak fireplace. And regardless of whether you might like Brian May as a guitarist or not, I think we can probably all agree that his tone is pretty impressive. For me though, it's important to use salvaged wood or wood that's more readily available and not in short supply for ethical reasons. The wiring harness that I used in my electric guitar was also purchased on eBay, and it came from an unused Epiphone Les Paul. It's probably not a high quality product by any means, but I figured the solder joints and wiring would probably be better than the really cheap harnesses available to buy on Amazon and eBay. But I could be wrong. The main thing is they work well and they were pretty easy to install. The humbucker pickups by Wilkinson sound pretty good to me too. I could have paid less for cheaper pickups, but these ones had decent reviews and were still inexpensive at £30, and I think they were a bit of a bargain. I really enjoyed making the guitar, and it's probably the project that I am most proud of overall out of everything I've done before, but it's certainly not perfect. The biggest challenge of this project for me was the positioning of the bridge, which really stressed me out and took a lot of time to rectify. Not only did I have trouble getting the distance of the bridge saddles from the nut correct, but also the height of the bridge and the guitar's action. I wasn't thrilled about having to route out a cavity in the body for the bridge to sit inside, especially after I'd spent so much time getting the finish on the body to look good. But in the end I kind of like how that ended up looking. The action still isn't perfect. It doesn't play as well as my Telecaster, but it does play and feel quite good. It's definitely better than some guitars I've played over the years. The fret markers don't stand out as much as I'd hoped they would either. I can imagine they'd be difficult to see on a dark stage, but I like that they're made from wood rather than plastic. There are some hairline cracks in the piece of oak that I used to make the body too, but that was deliberate. I wanted the guitar to look impressive, but I also wanted it to look homemade and have some character. If it ended up looking like it came straight out of a factory, I don't think I'd like it as much. I think that's enough talking for now, but let me know if you have any questions about this project, or just let me know what you think of the guitar by posting a comment. Thanks for watching.